There is a line drawn in the cosplay community between those who make their own cosplays and those who buy their own cosplays. A lot of people assume that those who make their own cosplays are ultimately better than those who buy them. I think that's completely wrong. But before we get started, hi, my name is Ezra Faye. I'm a professional makeup artist, a cosplayer, and no, I don't make my own cosplays. I style my wigs, I do my own makeup. I've never sewn anything myself. And I'll just start off by saying those who make their own cosplays are not better than those who buy their own cosplays, because being better implies things such as morality or social status. I think a better way to say it is that those who make their own cosplays are more skilled than those who do not. Being more skilled is an objective fact. If you just buy your own cosplays, you lack the skill of making them yourselves, but that is not permanent, as a skill can be learned. For example, I don't take offense to the fact that I lack the skill of dancing, because I can learn how to dance through practice and time, and the same thing goes for making props, wigs, or costumes. I think making cosplays and buying cosplays both have their own pros and cons as to why someone might choose that particular avenue. I talked to multiple cosplayers who do make their own cosplays to kind of get inside their mind of what it's like to make your own cosplays, why they do it, and even see what they think about people who buy their own cosplays. So these responses are both my own sentiments and the sentiments of those who I spoke to. People might buy cosplays because it's convenient. You can have a costume at your door in just a few days. You have the ability to cosplay characters more casually because there's less commitment involved when you're just buying something versus making it yourself. And if you do have that lack of skill or the proper equipment that you would need to make something, buying makes it so much easier for you to still do something that you enjoy. Some people might make their own cosplays, but they might buy something like a school uniform, a sports uniform, something that they can easily buy so that they can focus on making other stuff. And sometimes you really just don't feel like it. There's an equal amount of downsides to buying cosplays as there are upsides. For instance, we have the question of ethics. Buying cosplays has really become such an element of fast fashion. You can get a cosplay and do a new one every single week because all you have to do is buy an inexpensive one off of Amazon or AliExpress. It gives you the ability to just consume, and wear cosplay only once or twice. Another issue is quality. A lot of cosplays that you buy online, they come in like this cheap polyester blend. It's kind of got like a little bit of a ribbed texture to it. If you ever bought a cosplay, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I hate that fabric so much. Ugh. There's also the issue of shipping and timing. I've had multiple cosplays that have gone on back order last minute or just didn't come when they thought they would. And I know a lot of people have had this issue too of a cosplay not coming in time for a con. And then the sizing can be really weird as well, especially when a lot of cosplays do come in Asian sizes. It seems to never be consistent, and yes, there are sizing charts that you can follow, but like even then, those are just kind of a guideline. It's never truly tailored to you. People can post countless cheaply made cosplays every week, modeling pure overconsumption. A cosplayer that I spoke to said, as a person who really covets craftsmanship, it can be a bit disheartening to see cheaply printed patterns on polyester. I try to support companies and artists that I can afford and appreciate instead. A lot of these cosplays don't last. Any kind of design that is printed is going to be toast as soon as you wash it or iron it. They can rip easily. You can definitely see the wear on them after one or two cons. But I think this person definitely had it in the bag that it can be hard to see people just posting, and it doesn't really seem like anything other than pure consumption. Some reasons as to why people might make their cosplays. Sometimes a costume is not easily available online. There's also the desire to compete. I'm going to talk about this way more. People might make their cosplays because of a dedication to or an admiration for a certain character. There's also the desire for higher quality and a better fit, which is pretty self-explanatory. However, there are also their downsides to making cosplays. First of all, we got to talk about the initial costs. yes, every time you make a cosplay, you have to buy the materials for it, but when you're starting off, you're gonna have to buy a lot more materials. You're gonna need a sewing machine, you're gonna need all these tools, maybe a mannequin. There's a lot more to starting out, and those prices can go really high. Another downside to making cosplays is that you really have to love that character because you are going to be spending so much time with them. It can be harder to make a cosplay for a character you feel more casual about because you're going to be spending so much time on them. You don't want to end up hating the character by the end of it. There's also the issue of size because your weight might change. If you're measuring it perfectly to you, yes, you might give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, but if you have a change in your life and you gain or lose a lot of weight, that cosplay that you spent so much money and effort on is no longer usable for you. And the other downside is you're most likely gonna suck when you start sewing your own costumes. You can't expect that just because you have all the right tools, it's gonna come out perfectly as planned. It never does. So you have to be okay with being bad before you can get good, and some people just can't commit to that. There can also be a lot of waste involved with making your own cosplays. You're gonna have a lot of scraps, maybe you mess up. I feel like either way you go, there's going to be waste. With making, you're spending so much money, and then with buying cosplays, you might be contributing to the fast fashion epidemic. While there are alternatives to places like Amazon, there's AliExpress, which is a total toss-up. I don't shop from there anymore because I've had more problems actually than I can remember it like going how I needed it to go. AliExpress can be really enticing because a lot of the times that's the cheapest place you'll find a cosplay, but it's just not worth the stress. I remember a particular time they had sent me a notification saying that my package had been delivered, but it was nowhere in sight. I reached out directly to the company to tell them, hey, my package never came. Can I either get a refund or can another one be sent out to me? Because it had said that my package arrived but was taken back because someone had refused to sign for it. However, I was the only one home that day and I was at home when I got the notification. After reaching out to AliExpress itself, I received multiple rude messages from the seller telling me how rude it was that I didn't reach out to them first. I simply stated that I was trying to get my money back, and the seller replied by saying I should have taken their feelings into consideration instead and that I would have to work it out myself. It took about a week before I finally got the company itself to give me my refund, and I did end up ordering the same cosplay from a different seller, but oh, it was stressful. And then a lot of the times they don't look like the picture at all. I think I ordered about 3 Sasuke cosplays from AliExpress, each one having different quality issues than the last and looking like nothing like the picture. Was it a little bit irresponsible of me to buy it that many times before giving up? Yes, but different era for me. When I was in high school, I used to buy a lot of cosplays off of eBay. I don't know why, but when I was in high school, I just didn't know that you could buy cosplays on Amazon, and I don't think I ever really had any quality issues with eBay. It would just take a really long time to arrive because I just paid for standard shipping and most of them were coming from Asia. I think I tried to order something off of Wish one time and it simply never arrived. I ordered off of Miko Costumes one time and my item ended up going on back order after I had already paid for it, and it was right before a con. So I was so stressed out before the con trying to figure out if it was gonna arrive or not. All of these sites have the same thing and issue. It just always stresses me out. So now I either buy from Amazon or I try to thrift or closet cosplay when I can. I'm not able to buy as many cosplays as I used to be able to, and that's perfectly okay. If anything, it's probably a good thing. It has given me the chance to be more creative with what I already have, which has actually turned out to be a lot of fun. However, there are some cosplays that I really want to do that simply aren't available online anywhere, and I can't quite wrap my mind around how to thrift it, closet cosplay, or buy some pieces from the store and work with them from there without the ability to sew, which makes me really want to learn how to sew. However, I don't have a sewing machine, I don't have the space for a sewing machine, and I simply don't have the money for all of those initial costs. And I think that's where a lot of people stand. I don't think you're a bad person for buying your cosplays at all. I think it's perfectly okay to buy an occasional cosplay and wear it a few times, wear it a lot of times even, but I don't think it's it's okay when you're getting a new cosplay every single week and there's just no possible way you can wear all of those more than once. So it's either going to sit there or it's going to end up in a landfill. But either way, it is contributing to questionable and sometimes absolutely unethical labor practices in other places. And I think we forget about that a lot because we don't see it. Some people don't think it's a real issue because it doesn't affect them. So I think when you are constantly feeding into fast fashion in such a way, so irresponsibly, I still don't think you're a bad person, but I do think you need to pause and consider how your actions are affecting the environment, how they might be affecting other people that you don't even know exist. And if anything, how's that affecting your wallet? I mean, seriously, if you have the means to buy multiple cheap cosplays, it might be possible for you to invest that money in making some stuff for yourself instead, or using that money to support artists who can sew something of much higher quality for you. People who make their own cosplays, props, or wigs definitely deserve an extra set of bragging rights. And I think that when you do a good job, you should be able to celebrate it. One way to celebrate it is to compete. I think a general rule is that you shouldn't enter a cosplay contest if you didn't make at least 70% of your cosplay, because it's simply not fair if you're going up against all these people who put in so much time and work and you go up there in something from Amazon, but you're like, oh, but I did the wig myself. It isn't fair. And there are different types of cosplay contests. There are the ones that are very casual, and then there are the ones where they're really inspecting your outfit and they're trained to be able to tell when you've made something yourself or when it was bought online. And I think if you go up there and tell them that you made it yourself and you didn't, like, that is so shitty. Like, how are you not so embarrassed by doing that? I think, like, if you bought costumes for like a big dance performance that you like choreographed yourself, I think that's like one thing. But like, if you're going up in a contest that's like based on craftsmanship and it's all stuff that you bought, like, no, don't do that. I've never competed in a cosplay contest, because I don't really want to get up on stage in front of everyone and be judged. I don't mind getting up on a stage and talking and entertaining, but like, I don't want to go up and like compete. I don't like to compete, so I can't say too much. I think it's just one of those situations where you need to know your role and not overstep, and have respect for people who have objectively put in more time and effort than you. Who should be judging these cosplay contests? And I think it really boils down to the type of cosplay contest that it is. I have judged a small scale cosplay contest before, but it wasn't at a convention. It was at a bar, and it was raising money for a charity through a cosplay event. So most people coming were just coming in, bought cosplays, and it was very casual. It was very low key. I don't know the first thing about judging a cosplay contest, but it was really based on like vibes. Oh, who do I think looks the best, rather than, oh, whose performance was the best or whose craftsmanship was the best. It was really a vibe thing. If I was invited to judge at a local con, I would consider it, but I would honestly have to see how big it is. If it was a small library con or something that's super small scale, I would consider it. If it was a whole 3-day con, that's when I would have to start being like, I don't know, because that's when I feel like the performances do start to get more serious, more competitive. I think that it would be totally inappropriate to judge a cosplay contest based on things like performance or craftsmanship when I myself have never performed, have only done wigs, or have never really truly made a costume myself. Yes, I do my wigs. Yes, I do my makeup, and I would really love to attend a con as a guest in order to educate people about cosplay makeup, how to make your makeup last through a con from experience both in the cosplay world and professionally. And I'm working on it with this one con, and I really hope they get back to me. But yeah, and it's the same thing when they have voice actors at the con or other guests who aren't cosplay guests. It's just like, it's great that you're here, but you are not the most qualified individuals for this. So what can you do if sewing a costume or making a big prop isn't on the table? You can focus on other stuff. Another cosplayer that I spoke to said, I've seen a lot of friends get into wig making because it is more user-friendly to pick up than sewing. And I think that's definitely true. I have definitely been able to improve my wig styling skills over the past past few years, I can definitely look back on my own pictures and be like, I've definitely made some huge strides. And because I can't sew anything, and because we live in a small space and it's hard to make a lot of big props and store them somewhere, at least I can work on wigs because they're small and they're easily stored. You can also thrift cosplays, either buying them secondhand. You can go to Goodwill and see what you can piece together, especially cosplays that have more simple designs. It's really easy and it is fun to go to Goodwill or your other thrift stores and find pieces and use them to put your own twist on a certain character. You can also do closet cosplays. I think they're perfectly valid and perfectly fun. A lot of people shit on closet cosplays, but who cares? Because it's a lot more resourceful. I think it's a lot more creative than buying something. It's sustainable and it's fun to see. It's fun to do. It's fun to go into your closet and be like, what do I have and what can I use with it? I've been doing this a lot lately, just taking wigs that I already have and going in my closet and seeing what can I do with this. You can also, like I said before, buy from artists. I know Etsy used to be really good, but I think now it's becoming garbage because it's so much stuff from Temu and stuff on there now. So I don't know where good places are to buy from artists as far as getting a prop or an outfit made. I'm sure there is still some on Etsy, but if you guys know of any places, please type it in the comments so that people can see. I know if you want to buy, someone said that Doki Doki Cosplay and Roll Cosplay are better alternatives to Amazon and Miko Costumes. I think we really do need to stop this cycle of buying and buying and buying, and we need to get back to working with what we have, making fewer but higher quality pieces for ourselves for the sake of longevity, for the sake of sustainability, for the sake of our climate, and for the working climate of other people. But ultimately, neither side is right nor wrong. It's never black and white. What everyone should be able to agree on is mutual respect for ourselves, others, and the environment. Like we've said, not everybody has the ability or the means, and some people are just doing what they can. Ultimately, it is a hobby, and we shouldn't be judging people too harshly on how they enjoy their hobby. But if you do buy your cosplays, it's important to not overconsume, feed into fast fashion, and just be spending your money like it's nothing. It definitely will not hurt you to save your money. And don't beat yourself up if you're not at the skill level that you want to be at. Skills take time. Skills take learning, and a lot of times that learning is made through mistakes. It's made through shitty costumes. It's made through wigs that you cut too short. It's made from props that break during the first day of the con. That's how we learn. Making and buying cosplays can be equally valued. Just be smart about which one you do and be conscious about what you're doing. While making them offers the chance to learn skills such as sewing, and with enough skill that can make them affordable, but that time is a luxury that not everybody has, and it can be expensive. Making your own costumes does help build a community in of itself. However, if cosplay is for everyone, like we love to say, that includes people who buy their cosplays. You are not lesser for buying cosplays, putting in less work, or being inexperienced, because we all have to start somewhere, and some of us may choose to never start at all, and we shouldn't be shamed for that. At the end of the day, it's a hobby. Hobbies are not meant to be that serious. It's made to be for enjoyment. It's made to be as a stress reliever and something that you look forward to doing. And I think when we put all this pressure about how you cosplay, it can make it something that you don't love anymore. I love cosplay and I want to continue to enjoy it for a long time. What is your opinion on the matter? Do you have a preference, or is there something that you want to learn? If you buy cosplays, where do you usually buy them from? And if you make them, what's something of value that you've learned that you want to share with other people? As always, I'd like to hear all of your thoughts, and I'd love to have a discussion with you about them so that we can all learn something. As always, I love getting video ideas, so if there's more on this matter that you'd like for me to discuss, or you have other video ideas related to cosplay, whether it be conventions or issues in the community or certain shows. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you can become one of Ezra's Fays, where I do tons of cosplay, convention, and makeup related topics. Thank you so much for watching, and these false lashes have been poking me in the eye since I started filming, so I'm gonna go yoink them off. Okay, bye!